Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We're committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. All right then, let's head into today's conversation.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's conversation. I promise it's going to be an interesting one today. Been looking forward to it. Adam, I've invited you up, so hop on here, join me. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing very well, Elikem. Yourself?
I'm great. Just some people who have chosen to do some construction near me today. We should continue.
Yeah, sorry.
Charlie. These days we meet in the middle of the week, so it's not like how was your week been? It's more like how's it going?
It's going well.
Nice. Okay, today I have some news for the gang that I'm pretty sure they will be very proud of me when I announce this. So I announce it when more people come. But yeah, perhaps maybe you could just, while we wait for others, maybe you could just talk about the 91 days to Christmas challenge.
Oh, I should talk about it.
Yeah, just a brief one, and you do that again in the middle and at the end. But while we wait for people.
Okay. So the 91 days to Christmas is a savings challenge that we came up with just towards ensuring that we all save consistently towards the Christmas period. We know that December there is a lot of chilling and spending, but we don't want to spend outside our budget. So we want to ensure that what we are going to spend on is something we have budgeted for, so that next year when we enter into January, we will not be stressed and having mental issues because of our money issues. So we just want to ensure that everybody goes along. It will run up till 30th November, but it's up to you. You can choose your own level. And we tweet it every day. I think today is supposed to be day 35. Yeah. And so far, we are supposed to have saved a total of 630 Ghana cedis. Yeah. So that's following on the main challenge. But if your strength is more or less, you can choose a suitable target for yourself. So I think that about sums everything up. Yeah.
Yep. That's about sums it up, right? And I like the part where you say if your strength is more, you can take it up. Because I'm looking at people like Annie in the audience, Douglas. I know that their strength is more. In fact, Jennifer's strength there is even double the targets that we are even setting there. So, and now, Jenny, what do you say? Have you started the challenge? Or you've spent it on the wig you are wearing?
So, I haven't spent on the wig, but I haven't started it yet. But I think by the time, I'll start now and then I'll still give you feedback by the time we are supposed to be doing it. Yes.
Nice. But that's a really nice DP you have going on Twitter. I think as of last week, you didn't have anything on.
Yes, you said I should go and look for a picture, so I went to look for a picture.
Okay, that's great. Anyway, let's start getting into it here before we bore people. Dr. Jiwolu is our guest speaker for today, and he'll be joining us in a couple of moments. I'm just exchanging messages with him. He's trying to log in. I'm glad I was able to. He was willing to set up a Twitter account just for us. Isn't that lovely? Okay, so the topic for today, Adam, what do you think about this topic?
I think
money problems and mental health. What do you think?
I think it's a very important topic, and we don't get to talk about mental health in general in our parts, and to link it with money. I think it's a very, very important topic to discuss, because generally, in fact, our health issues generally, we don't discuss them much in this part of the world. But I think that mental health is also very, very, very important. And if we are looking at the times we are in, myself, I didn't know I was stressed until recently when I had to see the doctor. The doctor told me, "Look, you are stressed," and these are things that I think we don't look at too well. And so I'm actually looking forward to a very interactive and educative session where at least I can pick some pointers for myself and improve my mental well-being. Yeah.
Nice, Charlie. These young people, we just keep going through the grind, and we don't know that we are going through stress, and it has health implications, right? Speaking of stress, I'm so glad to see someone joining us. David Prince, I'm inviting you up to speak. So just check your notifications and accept, or you can raise your hand and I'll pass the mic to you, right? David called me, was it today's Wednesday, Monday, just check up on me, and I really appreciated David calling me. David has been away from us consistently for some weeks. He's been going through many changes at work and at home. So I'm glad to see that today he can spare the time to join us in here. And I was telling him about something that I said he will be proud of me. So since I moved here, it's been 2.5 months now, yeah. I haven't been cooking regularly, apart from, you do some one or two, you get some spag or some pasta with this thing, with shit up. That's as good as I get to cooking. But last Friday, I went to the grocery shop and I bought a lot of things. I'm like, I'm not going to cook for a long time. I'm going to see how that will last. So to try and cut down on the money side of things. So I'm sure you people will be proud of me. I'm making Money Convos proud of all that we are learning, because Charlie, when I was buying food here, Jack, the money was going yo. Man has to wake up. Anyway, so I'm glad to have I'm glad to see Dr. Jiwonu has joined us. In case you are looking on your screen and wondering who is it, his name is appearing as Day, D-E-Y. Before I invite him to speak or do an intro, I just want to again welcome Jennifer, Prince, and David. David, do you have any special words for us, especially on this topic? I know you were excited for it.
I don't have any special words per se. I'm here to learn and to be enlightened as much as I can from the doctor who's about to speak. I just know that this is something that's very, very dear to my heart because it's very, very important. In our society, Ghanaian, African, what have you, I feel like we don't pay too much attention to the mental health part of things. Everything is like, oh, snap out of it. Okra, how are you depressed? What's your problem? So we need to shed more light on it. So I'm very excited about it. Thank you.
Energy. Bema crowd, those kind of things. So I'm pretty sure Dr. Jiwonu will be getting in there. So we have in our midst Dr. Jiwonu. He's joining us. Nice small group of friends who just like to have conversations about money, because we are not taught about money as we are growing up, and we come out of school, we start earning incomes, and we don't know what to do with the money. So it's good that we learn about it, to know how to use it well to our benefits. And one aspect we realize is mental health, and that's why I called on someone I respect well in the health sector. He's Dr. Emmanuel Jiwonu, and I met him at Total House Clinic. He's a clinical psychologist, and he also teaches. He's also a lecturer at the School of Medicine in the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho. He's made me appreciate therapy and the benefits of having someone to talk to think through a lot of challenges, see things from different perspectives. He's an amazing person, has a lot of patience with his clients, and I'm pretty sure that he will share a lot of his wisdom with us today as we are discussing this key topic of mental health. So, Dr. Jiwonu, you are welcome to Money Convos.
Thank you very much, my brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thanks for bringing me on board.
It's our pleasure. Yeah. Okay, seems there's a break. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So that's nice. Thank you again for accepting our invite. So the way we want to do it, is just we'll allow you to speak for a couple of minutes. Tell us the things that you think we need to know about money problems and mental health, and then we'll open it up to some Q&A, so that people can interact and ask any burning questions on their mind. So
All
over
right.
to you.
Thank you very much. So the whole issue of money, we see it from different perspectives. Bringing in mental health is, for many people, is as though we are trying to join two different things that are not capable of joining. But in fact, the problem always is there if we do not start looking at things from a holistic angle early enough. Then we struggle at the end when it hits us. Interestingly, money giving us problem is no different from any other problem we have. If any other problem can impact on mental health, then money and problems that come with it can impact on our mental health. So over the years, it's been found over and over among every population that when there are difficulties in the system that affect our factors, it influences our well-being, general well-being, so that people begin to drown into deep states of anxiety over what's next, how they're going to survive the hardship after all. And that fear of not knowing what will happen next can drop you into deep states of depression. So, and the issue of depression, we just use it generally. If you don't experience it, you didn't know how terrible it is. So, yes, money problems can lead us into deep state of depression. They can affect family relationships and general social relationships because once you have that limited resource to deal with, once you are not sure what's going to happen next, people come into your lane, begin to be so agitated and responding in negative ways. So it affects almost every aspect of our lives. For many people, the issue has been how they handle the problems that come. Of course, money is going to reduce in our accounts, in our pockets along the line. Even the richest people, their accounts drop from time to time and then they hit. So for the ordinary person out there, these ups and downs in our accounts will happen. But if we don't deal with it well, then it affects us mentally. And the interesting bit is that there's a cyclical trend where the money problem affects your mental health, and your mental health issues affect your money again. So it keeps working into each other until you find appropriate means of handling them. So some will end up coping wrongly by maybe trying to take drugs, forget the problem, and mind you, the drug you are using also comes at a cost. And then it may even pose some further health complications for you that you need money to deal with. Some will try to walk away from friends, split, not want to have anything to do with anyone again. Meanwhile, it is these same people you may want to fall on when it's becoming really, really terrible. So there are very negative ways people deal with money. Some want to do extra works, get extra jobs, which is actually one of the ways of dealing with financial issues. But in doing these extra jobs, people are unable to find a balance between these extra jobs and their personal well-being. Therefore, it drops them into further mental health problems and other physical problems. So that in the end, they are not healthy enough to do these new jobs, or even if they do, whatever they gain from it has turned into treating problems that come that stress them. So dealing generally with financial challenges is important. How we go about it is very important. To do it wrongly, get a wrong outcome. So I just want to quickly touch on a few things we can do as individuals. Mental health, regardless of the source, will require you to take certain actions. And if you don't, it doesn't do. So one, seeking professional help in times like this, when our pocket is dry and is weighing us, professional help is important. This professional help can come from financial experts who can talk in certain things. The professional help can also come from people in mental health practice who can help you with the various issues, mental health issues you struggle with. Then on our own, we are supposed to engage in certain very little to say things or activities that keep us healthy physically and translates into good mental health. So staying healthy is an important thing. Some of the things include eating well. Well, usually you may be broke, but you still will be able to eat. So eating, you need to eat the best food. The best food, usually the very local ones, the ones that will nourish you well enough, on time, eat the best food, the best quantity, and all that. Very important for us. In fact, it's been shown that when people are struggling with their finances, that is the time some tend to overeat because depression in some people make them actually overeat. Some will undereat. You are not eating well if you don't take in the best quantity of food or at the right time. It develops other problems, also other things that create problems for you. Therefore, the fact that you need to eat the best meal is important. Then we also need to rest very well, so that as you set out to create extra sources of income for yourself, you should be mindful of the stress that comes with it. So at least some relaxation at the free time, the night, or taking a day off, your free maybe a holiday for your whatever. We need to utilize them properly. Then we also need to exercise. Important for all of us. You all preach it all the time. If your friends come to you that telling you that they are going through certain problems or physical issues, we are more likely to tell them, "Oh, try exercise as well." But we ourselves don't know. It's also important. Some of these things actually activate brain cells that help us cope some stressful situations in our lives. It's also important to make use of social support within these times. That brings to mind that we need to have strong social support, good social support, so that in times that we are broke, you'll be able to call on them. If you think you have it all, and so you don't need, when the downs come, it's difficult to find people to call on. So it's always important to have people around that we can work with when it becomes important. So we should use social support very important. We should avoid drugs. They will not help us. They don't help anyone because it comes at a cost, financial cost, health cost for us, and all that. Then we should also avoid unnecessary competitions, unhealthy competitions. My friends are doing this, buying this, going here, so I must also do it. If that is the reason you are taking the extra job, that is the reason you are saving and whatever, and all that. When there are real issues, then you are going to be more stressed, especially if you are not able to meet those targets. It drains you so much. So when the pocket is going down, when our accounts are draining, we should target the important things in life first. Get them across. Then if there's an extra, we are able to deal with them. So unnecessary competitions, because he's wearing this kind of dress, he's driving this car, taking the keys to this place, doing this for the children and all this. So I must also do them. They actually don't help. So to sum that up, we must cut our food according to our crops. So I think there are many things we can point to, but as you said, that I should just give a brief background of it so that questions and answers will come. I'll leave it here so that we take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Juwonu. This is very good. And I see that Edem has posted the summary of the points that Dr. Juwonu just said. So you can just check at the bottom of your screen the message icon. In case you missed it, you can always just read up on it. Just to quickly summarize, action steps to help you deal with financial stress. 1, seek professional help. Eat well to stay healthy. Rest well. make use of your social support, avoid drugs, avoid unhealthy competition. That last one is a big one for me. So these are some of the things that you can look out for. In case you just joined the conversation, we are having a conversation with a clinical psychologist, Dr. Emmanuel Jiwonu, and we are discussing money problems and mental health. Okay, so you've had a brief overview about mental health and some of the things we should do to avoid them. I find it interesting to avoid the problems, right? I find it interesting the vicious cycle that Dr. Jiwonu just spoke about. Money problems can lead to mental health problems, or it will affect your mental health. Then your mental health affects your money, and it just goes on, and the cycle doesn't end. But I'll open it up to our audience and our fellow speakers up here. Let's see. I'm trying to bring Mimi up. Mimi, just check your notification so that you can come up. Jennifer, I see you dropped. You must have dropped off, so I'll bring you up again. Prince, David, anyone, just flash your mic if you'd like to speak, and then I'll invite you to speak so that you can ask your questions. But I'd like to ask the first question. Doc, you said something about drugs, that we should avoid drugs. And perhaps, can you clarify what kind of drugs are we talking about? Are we talking about prescription drugs? Are we talking about just normal paracetamol? Or are we talking about cocaine and heroin and those things? What exactly are you talking about?
Okay, thank you. So maybe I should have put it better. It is actually to say we shall avoid drugs or substance use. So in this case, it's illicit drugs. Even if it is a legal drug, once not prescribed for you, but you're using it for another purpose, then it becomes unnecessary. So, for instance, if you want to drink so that you can sleep off your problems, it's wrong. Heroin and all those things, because it gives you work or take your problems off your mind and all that. It is wrong. If there is even a common drug, for instance, alcohol is legal, but if you use it because you want to forget the problems, then you are doing the wrong thing. If you choose to get what we call these energy drinks, so that you can be strong enough to work all day, but the late to the night and all that, simply because you want to work and get more money, you are creating problem first. So any substance you just drink or use so that you are able to surmount the problem, that is wrong.
Wow.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it makes it crystal clear. Basically using things for the wrong uses, even if it's something, a good drug that was prescribed for you or para, and you are starting to use it for the wrong reasons or overusing it. That's good. Thank you so much for assisting us with that clarification. Okay, so Adam, would you like to jump in with a question? I know you had a question when we were discussing this last week.
I think we can circle back.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, then. So you mentioned some of the resources we can use, Dr. Jiwonu, and one of the first one was seeking professional help. If you recall, David was saying in the preamble about how in Ghana there's this stigma about seeking mental help, and especially like if you're a strong person, you shouldn't be going for this kind of help. What can we do to reduce the stigma and make people more comfortable with seeking this help?
Well, I think it starts with us as individuals. Even with the many people who are willing to go out there seek support for mental health, they still harbor some level of stigma against the whole concept. So as individuals, we need to start that that level. Now, the thing is that if you start seeing mental health problems as any other problem, then it will be easier for us to look for help when the need arises. Someone gets malaria, they don't hesitate to go to the hospital. When they have any other issue in any part of the body, they don't have a problem going to the hospital looking But when the engine of the body, which is the head, gets a problem, we think it is wrong enough for us to go for help because other people have. So that's what the problem is. That is a crux of the whole thing. That we feel the head shouldn't have a problem. But actually it's the head that is carrying you up and down all the time. Once there's a problem there, nothing happens again. So when we all value the importance of mental health, then we are able to accept and tolerate people who go through this. You know, usually when we stigmatize against people who have this problem, and then it happens to us or our family, it becomes difficult for us to shy away from it. That is the only time you see people able to advocate and talk about it and tend as if or behave as if they have accepted it. But until it hits them, they see every other person going through this as going through something that is not acceptable. So we as individuals have to start making noise in our small partners. We must accept the issues, the conditions. We must be able to give people helping hand and speak to them to look for help. But even encourage them so that around us people will feel comfortable looking for help and mentioning issues of that. Otherwise, we will not get anywhere. Bear in mind that government and policies so far have not helped so much. Also because it is the same individuals who are not accepting it that get government assistance. But if we start and then we get to the top, it comes to this.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. It's been helpful how we can overcome this stigma. So I hope anyone listening, you are picking up some advice. I'm listening and just doing a bit of introspection and seeing how I can be more open to getting mental health help. All right. Okay. So I think Adam is now ready. He could ask his question. Adam.
Yeah, thank you, Elikem. Thank you, Doctor, for the presentation thus far. I want to ask a question concerning so like how are we able to tell, or what are some of the signs that tell that one is going through stress or anxiety disorders?
Okay. Would you want me to speak specifically to stress or anxiety disorders or mental health issues in general?
Okay, I think mental health issues in general, yeah,
Okay.
and then probably you could zero in on stress and anxiety.
Okay, right. So for us to be able to point to mental health challenges in an individual or ourselves, all we're looking at is it should lead to a point where the behaviors we put across, the things we do, meet one of these four criteria. The first one, what you're doing now or what you're going through seems to deviate from the normal way of doing things or experiences in your own life. So deviation from the norm. So that generally when you wake up in the morning, you're going to work. You are okay. You want to see the traffic, you want to pass here, you want to get there, you have itinerary for the day and all that. But today you wake up and then you panic. You are afraid. You're not sure what will happen. And you don't even want to go to work. For some people, it will take them to the washroom several times. So that eventually they will even be asking for excuses so they don't go to work. That is the normal way of you waking up, dressing up, expecting things to happen that day, and then moving. So once there's a deviation, you know that there's a problem. The second criterion is the behavior or the experience is posing significant distress. That is becoming challenging for you, it's becoming difficult for you, you are becoming tired in the way things are going. Then you know there is a problem coming up. So, for instance, the same thing you used to do, and now when it's given to you, you struggle too much to do it, and it's becoming overly frustrating. Then you know there's a problem for you. Then the next criteria you should look for is that your behavior or the experiences going are beginning to put threat to you or someone else. when it's beginning to give to endanger you or another person.
Hello, Dr. June.
When,
Can you hear
when
us? Oh,
yes,
okay.
I can hear you.
It seems it's
Can
better
you
now.
hear
The
me?
line, yes, the line broke off a bit. Can you start again on the point about endangering?
Yes.
How when your
I think
behavior endangers
call.
people?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So yes, when your hello, sorry, I think there was a call coming through that disturbed.
Oh.
So your experience,
No problem.
your experience endangers your life or the life of another person. So, for instance, you are driving and because you are overthinking, worried about it, you are not even concentrating on what you do. Eventually, your life is life of other drivers. You get to the office because you are so stressed, you are not able to concentrate. You are beginning to pick up figures, forget itinerary. And that affects your job or the job of another person. So these are some of the examples you can see endangering your life. And the last one is when your experiences or the behavior are beginning to cause malfunction. So you become dysfunctional. The things you are able to do now, complete your targets, you are not able to function as required of in order. So these four things, if one of them is beginning to happen, then you know that there's a problem. And they can happen regardless of the you are doing. Sometimes it's all the four, sometimes it's one or three. So now specifically to stress or anxiety. I think the examples I was using were a bit related to those kind of things. So if there's too much work on you in the office, all of a sudden you begin to experience headache, you're unable to concentrate, you don't know where to start from, you are panicking and all that. And remember, stress in this case is not actually the amount of work that is piled on you, but your perception or interpretation that you may not be able to meet the target. Then it begins to reflect the experience, the behavior, and how you are. Then that leads that anxiety. How am I going to Am I going to explain myself? How do I defend myself? Here of all people and all that. So it in fact, usually we say that stress and anxiety, and there's a third one which is depression. They are bedfellows. That one can easily lead to the other. You usually see them side by side. You are stressed about things, anxious, and then you become hopeless or helpless. So these are the ways we can see them. For many people, when they are stressed out or when they are anxious, it begins to show on the body physically. This is what we call sometimes somatic problems or disorders, where they can actually experience headache, backache, stomach problems. They may experience constipation. They may vomit. They may not be able to sleep. They will lose appetite. All those things are signs of anxiety or stress. And it doesn't make
Wow,
sense.
it's just yes, it does make a lot of sense. Adam, is that clear? I find it interesting how some of the symptoms you just spoke about, it's like normal sickness, so it may even be difficult to pick them out or differentiate, and some people may just go and take malaria medicine,
Exactly.
whereas they are just suffering from that. Does that happen? Do you see that happen?
Yeah, it happens. In fact, even in the hospitals, the GP will give you medication for those symptoms. They will bombard you with flood your system with medications until they realize that it is not going. You keep coming with the same complaint. Then they begin to think twice that, oh, could it be something else? Then they push you to a psychologist. But in fact, usually, if you're able to take proper enough and you're able to tell your line of duty and things happening in your life, you should be able to detect early in order to avoid dragging you so much before end up.
Wow, wow, wow. then it takes a good GP to spot these things early on. This reminds me of a time, I think this was in 2019. No, 2018. No, 2019. Yes, 2019. I had just finished writing a CFA exam, the first attempt at CFA level 3. And I wrote it on a Saturday. I went to work on Monday, and my heart was beating at so fast a rate that I had to be taken to the hospital by my boss. And I got there and I started talking to the doctor. Then he realized, I know this thing is stress. He asked, what work do you do? I said, investment banking. It's like, yeah, take 5 days. Just go. Just go and rest. And especially when he asked me if I'd been under any significant stress, I was like, well, I actually just came from writing an exam that I took time off to write it, and I was like, you just finished writing the exam and you're back at work. These bankers, why do you want to kill yourselves? Go and rest for 1 week. It's yeah, and I came back bouncing even
Yeah,
harder with good ideas.
yeah.
So I appreciate what you're saying. Speaking of stories, you know how they say experience is the best teacher. Um, but in such situations, I don't want us to have to learn from our experiences. Perhaps is there a story you can share with us of somebody who took mental health seriously, sought help, and then there was a significant improvement in their lives? I know you can't share specific details about people, but are there some general lessons that we can take that will make people really appreciate the benefits?
Okay. I think I'll share this one because it's been a very long time I saw this. I think the early parts of my career, I practiced. And this woman actually agreed to join me on a radio discussion on her condition. So I can talk about it. So she was also a banker. She was holding the keys to the ATMs and moved from one end of the car to another, sort of. So it was becoming very, very stressful for her. She started experiencing some back. Eventually, she's unable to sit. She couldn't drive. She had to drive her. She would lean at the back seat, get to the office, and it was becoming so bad. According to her narration, she has sought help from the best of medical practice, moving from one specialist hospital to another, and taking all the serious painkillers and all that. She was not getting any results. So eventually, she met me at the previous facility I was working. And then I told her it could be somatic disorder. I explained to her because I was able to get a history of what she was doing. She has to look at the night sometimes, sort things out, wake up very early, make sure some agents are working and all that. You guys in banking know. So I felt it was purely somatic. So I took her to some investment, take some time off, get a few physiotherapy and all that. 2 weeks, the pain was absolute. So when I told her I was going on radio on the mental health stuff, so you know what? I want to share my story. But she was killed. So this is how people have struggled with very, very straightforward conditions that are mental health. But they struggle with it, trying to use medical approach for a long time. But until you meet the right diagnosis, you always be going the wrong. We've been having them, struggling with them in our facilities until somebody else will find it out and then get them sorted. So yes, it is there. The works we do every day are giving us solutions. We are also not willing to get help. So people are struggling.
Wow, this story is just amazing. So just to be clear, all that pain she was going through, jumping from place to place, eventually it took non-medical it didn't take drugs, no painkillers, and just working through it from a mental health angle was able to help resolve her problem.
That is
Wow. Wow.
in fact, there's another story that we published actually as a paper, case paper. It's on the internet. And you guys can Google it. The title is Genitopelvic Pain Practical Case from that, where these young couples who are unable to have sex almost 18 months, right? Yes. Simply because it just can't happen. There was so much pain. They felt at the point they felt when they felt it was the lady's organ that was not big enough and all this. So they went to the hospital and the doctor surgically cut the lady's vagina so that it's bigger. Still didn't work. They came in and the gynecologist felt that look at this psychology. Once you know the story, I thought this is previously the term we use is vaginismus. He felt this is because of the upbringing of the lady, the stories we heard, the fear of pain and all those things. We handled it psychologically. Less than a month, we were able to finish. Within 9 months, they had it. Currently, they have 3 kids. So things are happening. The conditions are there. We deal with them all the time. People will be struggling with excessive migraine over and over. It is simply because they're just having to use their body. Each time they're going to the like the headaches. Once you're able to detect where the friction is, they're able to.
Wow. 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 That's I'm just amazed at the study and how it's revealing so many things that people would be unsuspecting of. Before we continue, Doc, I just want to draw attention. It seems the line is breaking a little. So if you know of a way to try and improve the reception, or if there's a Wi-Fi you could switch to, it would help. We can hear you, but there's a bit of breaking.
Oh, okay. But is it better? Because I'm actually using Wi-Fi in the office. I avoided going home so that I don't have internet problem. Is it better?
Yes, it's a little better. It happens sporadically every now and then.
Okay.
So I guess we would manage. Okay, great. Okay, moving on. Mimi, you had a question you wanted to ask Dr. Jiwon.
Yes. So I think today we are talking about money and mental health, and I've just been wondering. Just a week ago, my bosses were talking about various situations where they have, or various instances where they have engaged people who on a normal day should have been normal or shouldn't have flared up in certain situations, but she has seen 2 people flare up for no reason at all. One was someone selling ice cream. He was called and he got turned and got angry and just blasted the people calling him to buy some. And the other was a tailor who flared up like no reason at all. So it got me thinking whether with the current economic situation, are there more cases? Are people reporting more depression? Is there any, I just want to know if there's anything to prove that people are really struggling, or as Ghanaians, do we have our coping mechanisms, aka maybe watching jokes online and the rest, to be able to cope with our current situation?
Okay. Thank you. Ellie, is it better?
Slightly, but I think we'll manage with it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So the fact has been that when there is economic hardship, it is the poor and the vulnerable that are most hit. They are those who are hardest hit. People who are up on the ladder, the economic ladder, the impact is not that severe as those who are at the bottom. So the green light for people to move in for psychological help and all that, with the rich or those at the top there, they may not reach those levels, not too early. Unfortunately, the hardest hit group, that is those at the bottom, they are the very people, one, who do not understand the connection between what is happening in their pocket and what is happening up there in their mind. So flaring up on someone, they actually are unable to relate it with the economic challenge they are going through. Two, they are the people, even if they identify that what they are going through is a problem, they don't have what it takes, they don't have the money to go seek for help. So the problem will be there, get even worse. Maybe the best they can do for themselves is when it begins to reveal in physical terms, then they are willing to squeeze some funds and go to see the general practitioner. So a lot of people are struggling with depression, with related to economic hardship, anxiety and stress issues, and using different wrong approaches to cope with it, and they are not willing to come for help. So it's actually difficult to say that we are getting more people now because of this, but they are there anyway. We know people are struggling. They will not come because they are not able to make the funds. They don't even understand the relationship. It has always or usually been the case that depression, anxiety have been most reported in our facilities. Those things have been there. But interestingly, it is those who are a bit enlightened, who have what it takes to pay for it, they come around. And if they are coming in today, it's going to be the same trend as the one who understood or understands, the one who has the cash coming in. But a very vulnerable group, those below the ladder, they will experience it and be in their homes. Because we, as Ghanaians, we go tell someone that I think my anxiety is rising because I don't know what I'll eat tomorrow, so I'm going to see a psychologist. Your village people, your colleagues will be like, what do you mean see a psychologist? We are going through this. So people will even shy away from it in the first place. So yes, if you see people flaring up, people not willing to pick other people or colleagues' calls, family members' calls, any little thing, they are picking grudges with people and all that. Yes, it could be linked to mental health issues.
Wow, that's interesting. It's the people who need it the most have the least access to it, and it gets us thinking about how our economy and social structures and the public infrastructure is such that poor people are not getting enough assistance. Hopefully, as we are here doing more of Money Convos, we will become rich and we can donate to such causes for people, for the lower income people, or people who are less fortunate than us, to be able to afford all these services. Thank you, Dr. Chiwonu, for that. But speaking of flaring up in the economy, right, a follow-up is, so does that, would you then at this point be making a call on all of us that at this time, because of all that we are going through, people need to be more patient with others?
Very. We really have to be patient with others. Everyone around us, we need to be very patient with them. Because, on a normal day, the person wouldn't behave like that. So if someone behaves out of the norm, remember one of the criteria is deviation from the norm. The person behaves outside the norm. It should get you thinking, could something be wrong? So if there's something wrong, that is why the person behaved like that, then you should be the best person to accommodate that and help the person out. Usually we meet them with force, blast them, throw them off, and then it becomes a fight. Nobody is there to help each other. So we are supposed to have a lot of patience for them.
Okay, that's great. That's great. It's good to know yet another step we can do to help each other. Okay, so if you just joined, remember we are talking about money problems and mental health. And Dr. Jiwonu is a clinical psychologist with Total House Clinic, and he's also a lecturer at the School of Medicine and University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho. And he's been giving us a lot of tips about how we can improve our mental health. We'll continue on in the conversation, and a warm welcome to Paulina. I'm pretty sure she would have a lot to ask on this topic. So, if you have any questions you want to chip in, just flash your mic so that I can invite you up to speak. So, we will hear now from hear Jennifer's question, and when we are done, we'll go back to Mimi for her question also. Jenny, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Doc. This is my first time asking this question. So, my question is, there are people who may not be able to afford a professional psychologist, to see a professional psychologist. Do you have, if I say you, I mean the profession, is there any sort of free consultation that can be done or that is done for certain people? And if not, do you have any resources, let's say books or something that you can recommend to our audience? Let's say somebody still wants to talk to, or let's say get professional help but isn't in a financial position to do so. Can you recommend anything the person can read to help himself or herself along the journey? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, mental health services across the world is an expensive one. We in Ghana have always lied to ourselves that it is free service, but actually is the most expensive. So it's usually not free. There are a few organizations, NGOs, that have decided to give some support in some specific areas. For instance, we have the Mental Health Association of Ghana or something. We have Basic Needs. We have a few organizations that pick up some of the stories and then they try to help. They will go to the extent of paying professionals to help and all that. A colleague of mine recently is coming up with something on just females. So female mental health. So you reach out to her and she can find out how she can get someone to help and all that. Except that it gets to a point that the person will have to raise some money to pay some other bills and all that. Then the Mental Health Authority and the Ghana Psychological Association have also combined to help some individuals in very critical distress states over the years. So, for instance, when we hear that somebody has attempted suicide or is contemplating and threatening, these two organizations usually combine forces. They trace a person, get a person, and help. There are high-level celebrities in Ghana whose stories pop up, and then you realize that they go off until they come back fine and all that. These are all things we do behind the scene. But on an individual basis, it has usually been very expensive. Well, let me say expensive because people are still able to afford. In terms of reading materials, these days, a lot of things are on the internet there. You just Google and you get a lot of things. Unfortunately, some may not answer the question you're looking for. With books, there's none readily on my mind because it depends on the condition. Then we'll be talking about what specific material you should look. But if you go online and just Google symptoms of depression, how to manage depression, how to stay mentally active, mentally well, or how to improve your psychological well-being, you can get some very useful materials, books and blogs and things that you can read. I just want to mention that in Ghana, the places you can get help or access psychological services are becoming even a lot. Private hospitals are buying into it. Public hospitals, government is posting people every now and then. Churches are also beginning to buy into it and even invite people in to give talks and help members and all that. So if you don't have access to a psychologist or psychiatrist directly, sometimes you may want to speak to an elderly person around you. It could be your boss, depending on the relationship or how the person relates with other people. It could be a leader in your religious organization. It could be a father, a mother, a senior colleague or something, depending on how you assess the person's availability or readiness to help. So you can use those people, and eventually, if they are not able to help, they may know somebody who will know somebody. Then eventually, you get access to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So that's what I can say about this question. I guess I make some sense for you.
Oh, yes, you've been very helpful. Or Jenny, are you good with these?
Oh, yes, I am fine. Thank you.
Wonderful. I just looked up some of these organizations as Doc was speaking and got the links to their website, so Adam would be sharing them very shortly. Okay, we'll go on to Mimi, and then I have a question I also want to ask. So Mimi, and Doc, I must say the audio quality has improved drastically. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Mimi, you had another question?
Yes, I was asking Doc what he thinks about, what we listen to. Sometimes you listen to radio, you hear maybe things haven't affected your pocket yet, but you hear some wild, what do you call it, news, and it can cause one or two, it can cause some heart attack. So are there things that we do on a daily basis that you think that we should have a second look at, especially based on our temperament?
Well,
Doc,
yes. Yeah.
If I may, Doc, I also want to piggyback on this question before you, so that you can add all of them together. Simple thing, social media. Yes, we're having this thing on social media, and we are engaging on Twitter. We used to be on Clubhouse, and social, like, people are always on their phones. So how do we determine where we should go and listen to news or information, and how we absorb information into our minds? So please, you can add that to the answer.
Okay, thank you. Well, you see, social media is good. In fact, the media in general is good. It is the fastest source of information for us all the time. But they don't sieve or determine what how do I put it? You don't determine what they bring across. So they can bring both the good and the bad information for us. Unfortunately, some of us have dropped our entire life on social media, that everything we want to do, it has to come from there. Some will even deliberately go online looking for negative news. What if I'm broke? What happens to me? Then somebody will write their story. Last time I was broke, my neck got under my head and I died. And all sorts of things. Then when you are beginning to get broke, then you are expecting your neck to vanish so that you die. We do not live on negative news. What prevents us from going online to look for positive news? The little I have in my pocket, how can I enjoy it happily? Then people will tell you very nice things. Then you study those ones. It is just like telling people to concentrate on the positive things in life and ignore the negative ones. So it's the same way we can do it. If negative news come our way, let us be careful how we apply them to ourselves. People have their peculiar circumstances, challenges they go through. So we need to be careful how we absorb those things. During COVID, we have announced countlessly that people should avoid the media or social media in general. we can individually decide that this is the specific place I will be getting my news from. So, and when you go there, you look for certain kind of news. So let's not just leave it open where you wake up in the morning, you want to look on Twitter to know what is going on. And if there's a bad thing, that is what runs through our mind for the rest of the day. No. Where do you want to visit, or what platform do you want to visit to get the best news for the day? How many of us deliberately even look for jokes that can make us laugh at least once in a day? We don't do all those things. So it is not the best for us to always follow everything that is happening. Somebody keeps narrating sad stories, and that is what we want to read every day. For instance, those in Accra, some of them want to be listening to these radio stations that bring in some girl or some boy who claim they are lost, and then something has happened, and then they are worried all the time that it could happen to them or their kids. No, let's not live in negativity. So if your pocket is not that drained yet, let us not be looking at how people whose pockets are drained, how they struggle. No, we are not in that shoe. So at my level now, what do I do to stay there? How do I enjoy this? How do I apply other mechanisms or methods to still healthier? Those are the things we should be looking for. And once we are deliberate about sources of information and how we use information, I think we'll be good to go. You mentioned the issue of temperament. It's a whole thing on its own. So if you know that your temperament is unable to take certain shocks, then it's even more important for you to determine where you get your information. So even if it is radio or TV, you know which ones you should tune into to get the best message for yourself. So I think that is how I'll put it. So generally, social media can be very toxic. Let us be deliberate about things we go looking for. And some of us are on some platforms that are not necessary. They just don't feed us with any motivation. It's always bad energy. So that stops us from leaving those platforms or following those groups or whatever. It is up to us to do the best for ourselves.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think this would encourage people to block more unnecessary information. And what you just explained just reminded me of why I stopped watching Nigerian movies many, many years ago. Every time somebody is crying, somebody is sad. Why? Yeah, for me, when it comes to, can you relate? Can you relate to that factor? The Nigerian movies or the old type of Nigerian movies.
I call them low IQ movies. They don't make you think. You can tell the end from the beginning. So what are you watching? Same applies to the telenovelas. I mean, the storyline is the same. You can predict it. So it doesn't make you think. I can relate very well.
Nice. Okay, great. So we are still seeking questions from our audience. If you've heard anything about the topic we are discussing, money problems and mental health, and you have any questions, please feel free to flash your mic or raise your hand if you're not among the speakers just yet. Prince, welcome on stage and do ask us your question.
All right, thank you very much, Elikem. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear, my brother.
Thank you. All right, and thank you very much, Doc, for the insightful presentation. Also, thank you to all my other colleagues on the call. All right, so Doc, I want to ask this question. I read somewhere that people with debt problems are more likely to experience mental health problems. From your perspective, how true is this? And if you can throw more light on that for me as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So the question is, you say you read from somewhere that people with debt or financial problems are more likely to experience mental health problems. So how true is that? Yes, in my earlier submission, I did mention that is very true, that financial problems are highly related with mental problems. And it forms a cyclical pattern where they tend to feed into each other over and over and over. So if you don't have the funds, you'll be more worried about what tomorrow presents, how you even survive till tomorrow. Just assume that you have kids and all of a sudden your job is gone. You are laid off. There's no money coming in again. You surely be worried what your children will eat, how you pay the fees. You can't sleep. You'll be worried through the night. And because you're unable to sleep in the night, the next day you are so tired, your head is aching, your body is aching and all that. Then you're afraid any slight thing, you're always praying that your kids don't fall sick. Somebody mentions that my hair, then your world has crashed and all that. So you're anxious, it gets you more stressed. And then you see people, especially the women, you see them cry and cry and cry. They are broken. The men will want to show a very strong face, but eventually that is why we even see that men will end up killing themselves very fast than women. As for the woman, they will try, seek some attention, but the man, they will end it properly. So yes, it's very much related. And when these mental health conditions begin, because you don't have the funds to take care of it, they grow, they get even complicated. And then you need to find more money to deal with it, and then that is eating into the little funds you have, and over and over and over. So yes, there is a very strong relationship between the two. There are many factors that even aggravate the situation between these two variables.
All right. Thank you very much, Doc.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Prince, for the question. This vicious cycle of money problems and mental health, one leading to the other, which leads to the other, and it just keeps going on and on and on. So I have a question about, it's going to get a little controversial. Look, what's your take on the relationship between religion and mental health?
Yeah. There is a good, or let me say, there is a significant relationship between religion and mental health. Rather, let me put it this way, that there is some significant positive relationship between religiosity and mental health. So that people who are religious, more committed, they tend to experience some positive mental health outcomes. These are the reasons. One, they are able to count on a higher power so that through prayers or whatever, even if their needs are not immediately met, their fears are dropped. That is one. The second thing is that within the religious circle, there comes with it some level of social support, which, if managed properly, helps members of the religious circle to surmount some personal issues. Therefore, people are able to live mentally healthier within the religious circle. It is not to say that if you are not religious, you cannot be mentally healthy. You can. But it doesn't take away the fact that people who are religious don't experience good mental health either. Actually, people who are very religious, they tap some good resources from that. So yes, that is the thing. But we must also be quick to add that in the current dispensation, the whole concept of religion is taking a different turn, that people may end up rather struggling under the umbrella of religion than they are supposed to enjoy. So the little they have, they push it into tithes, they push it into offertory, they push it in push it into harvest, then they go home struggling. Where the religious leader is driving in bigger cars and they are unable to even get transport to work. So that level we are getting to is beginning to create problems rather. Otherwise, being religious comes with very good benefits.
Wow. I was not expecting this answer, so I'm glad, and I hope other people have also learned from it. It's a two-sided thing, right? There are benefits to it, but it's not a be all end all. It's about how you use it.
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah, and a recap for anyone who didn't hear it clearly. It's the first benefit is that people are able to count on a higher power, so that even when they don't get their needs, their concerns are reduced. And secondly, that social support that people have, they use it to help each other surmount the problems that they face. That's powerful. So I encourage everyone to let us use religion to help us do good, to help us achieve good results. Okay, so will start wrapping up the conversation. We'll be reaching the end very soon. So if you have any questions, please bring them up while we have the good doctor with us here. So that they can be answered for you and you have fewer problems later down the line. All right. I have a question for you, Doc, as we wrap up. Perhaps something that some people here, like David, Paulina, are older members of our group who we go to for advice, and even many of us as individuals, people come to us with their problems. You as a professional, that people come to you when they are not in good health with all their problems, how do you cope? Now, how do you manage all the negativity and make sure that you are still fine?
Okay, so this is about me, how I cope with handling all these issues people bring, right?
Yep.
Okay, so on Saturday, a client of mine who is not a Ghanaian asked me, how are you able to deal with all of us when you are in your house? I said, well, I have learned not to send you people to my house. I leave the issues on my consulting desk and go home. In fact, on my way home, I'm thinking about many other things than the ones I have discussed with my clients. So I am able to concentrate on other aspects of my life than just my clients. And then as soon as I move back into the consulting room, I reactivate all the things I did with my clients and move on. So you should be able to split or separate your private life from your professional life. That is very, very important. It is just like people who are working in the corporate world, the banks or whatever. We keep saying that don't pile or carry work to your home. Your home is not a working place. Of course, COVID has come and we've turned our homes into workspaces. That's a different matter. But as much as we can, we deal with what we can do in a day, leave the rest, and come back the next day so that when you get home, you rest well enough. That's one way of dealing with it. Number two, do not always see yourself in the shoes of your client. Or, let me put it this way, thinking that it could be you or this is me or trying to personalize a person's issues. It doesn't help, right? It doesn't help. Sometimes your story may look very similar, but bear in mind that it is not your story the person is telling you. It is their story. And look for a professional way of helping the person. That is important. Then, we also learn to take rest a lot. That's, I have to mention that if you have your free period or time that you know you're not going to work or whatever, do things that relax you well enough. So yes, those are some of the things. We try not to carry people's issues home or along with us. And by doing that, you are also, you are sure that you not go mentioning people's stories to other people because remember you block them off. Then you rest well and then you don't personalize your client's issues.
Okay. Keeping that Chinese wall. In investment banking, we call it the Chinese wall. One
Okay.
side shouldn't see the other. So, okay, it's good to see that, and then I, I can make a testimony that, at least from where I sit and how I've interacted with you, I clearly see a good balance, and I enjoy the time I spend with you. Okay, so again, guys, we have the good doctor here for free consultation. I must add, free consultation. When he mentioned the international clients, I was like, hey, Charlie, doc, only making some good money. So I really appreciate you for making this time to come and have this discussion with us for free and giving us it's just nice. A lot of people are doing a lot of things, not just money convos. We also have investment friend, and we try to bring experts in, and we really appreciate how people are willing to share their knowledge to help the general community. So we really appreciate that. Last but one question from me. The preamble is a bit long, right? Today, a friend called me and she's like, hey, so Elikem, all that's going on, they are saying debt restructuring. And I know people want us to talk about it soon. Don't worry, Money Convos will discuss it very soon. But back to the story. All the things that are going on with debt restructuring and the economy, where do I put my money? Should I go and close some investments to go and do other investments? What's going on? And in personal finance, there's something that we understand, not just personal finance investing. It's about having a long-term view, thinking about it as a marathon, not just a sprint. You don't just trade actively just out of fear and panic, because people do that, and people make bad decisions when they are afraid or when they are in negative emotions. So in such times, how can we get people, or how can people keep calm and not panic so that they don't make bad financial decisions? Can you give us any such tips?
Okay. One of the things we should bear in mind is that when there is crowd, try to be a bit different. So when everybody is shouting and things are collapsing and things are doing this and this, now this is where we all have to put our money, this is what we have to invest. Please take your time and reevaluate. It's like when what do you call it? That one, the men's gold came and everybody was running there and all that. If you just want to follow the crowd, you may crash. So it applies to hard times too. When everybody is crying and doing whatever, take your time. That should be in our mind. Number two, when there is anxiety, that is fear of the unknown, then pause. If you are not sure of where to go, then why do you go? If you are not sure of where to put your money, then why do you put it there when you have not taken time, discussed, evaluate to be sure? So this is a very important one, that when you are not sure, pause, make consultations and all that. In fact, rushing to do anything we do, anytime we do things in a rush, there is that tendency that it crashes down on us. So in the hardship, in the troubles, the uncertainties and all that, the only thing that can keep us going is to be calm. We must deliberately speak to ourselves to be calm. Sometimes you even write it down in your diaries or on your wall. Things are getting tough. Be calm. The only way you can go through it. Setting memos for ourselves, setting catchphrases for ourselves. Those are very important. And above all, let's not belittle the importance of resources around us. Speaking to investment bankers, speaking to health professionals, speaking to security, whatever. We must not belittle their help in our lives. Those are important.
This is powerful. See, if there's any part that I'll take as a snippet, this part, we need to, when there's a crowd, we need to try to be different. We need to take our time and reevaluate. Because if we follow the crowd, we will crash. Thank you, Doc, for the powerful words. I hope everyone has taken a note from it and would be able to learn from it. Okay, great. So all too soon, we've come to the end of our discussion, but I just want to ask this last question. How can people reach you beyond this conversation?
Well, my phone number is always available. It's out there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and then email that is also available. If a person is in Ghana, in Accra specifically, person can reach me at the clinic, Total House Clinic. On Fridays, the person can also reach me at La Paz Community Hospital on Saturdays. The person is in the Volta region, you can reach me at the World Teaching Hospital or at the University of Health and Allied Sciences School of Medicine. Otherwise, my email, imajiwonu@gmail.com. imajiwonu@gmail.com. Or my phone number, which you can share with them.
Great. That's great. Thank you so much. We'll be sharing this as a follow-up post to this so that people can reach you. Thank you so much. So Total House Clinic, La Paz Community, please mention the name of the hospital in Ho again.
World Teaching Hospital.
Great, Ho Teaching Hospital. Okay, and also email and phone number. We will circulate those for our audience. Thank you so much. It's been very helpful. Adam, perhaps would you like to say some closing words for us, and then you can just remind us about the 91-day challenge.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Jiwonu. And I mean, it's as we said at the beginning, mental health issues are not so much regarded amongst many people in our parts, but we are grateful for your time and we are grateful for sharing with us these nuggets, and I believe that it will go a long way to help us as we navigate the issues of life. All right, and to all of us who have joined the call, don't forget to follow us here on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook, and look out for our tweets and look out for the information we share out there. Also, don't forget to follow our friends, Investment Friend. They are on Instagram, and it's mainly tailored towards young ladies to be able to put their investments and their financial issues in the proper way. Yeah. So please follow them. But guys too, you also can do very well to follow them. They share very, very, very wonderful things. Okay, so like I earlier on said, we are doing a savings challenge towards the end of the year, Christmas challenge. So we have been saving. Today is day 35, and we are continuing. It's called the 91 Days to Christmas. The whole goal is so that we will not overspend or spend outside a budget during Christmas period. We know Christmas is the chilling time and the time for celebration. So we don't want anybody to be stressed or full of anxiety in January when after you have splurged during the December period and then you are found wanting. So please, let's do well to join the challenge. And also, like I said earlier on, the challenge is on various levels. Choose one that you are comfortable with and don't compete with anybody, as Doctor has already told us. So whatever it is that is good for you, just choose a challenge. But the whole goal is please make sure that you have saved and then you do not spend outside your budget during Christmas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam, for that, for the reminder on the challenge. Okay, I just want to give one last announcement. Our friend and sister Jennifer has just passed the CFA Level 1 exam. You know that exam I was saying that I went to write home and then I fell sick and the doctor said I should go and stay at home for 1 week. Jennifer has written Level 1. She has passed. She's done a human's job. What Napoleon couldn't do, she's done it. Pass rate of 25% and around across the whole world. Jennifer has gone to conquer the distance. As you can see her there with her red hair, She's not small. She's not easy. She's not easy. You could hear the applause from David at the end. What I say. Anyway, yeah. So big ups to Jennifer. We are so proud of you. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure spending my Wednesday, well, used to be Thursday, but now Wednesday evenings with you. Please do spread the word. Let more people come and hear these stories and improve their lives. Hopefully, in 2 weeks on 19th October, we will be coming to you with a My Money story. And so look out for that. Next week, it appears we'll be having some reactions to some situations, but we'll confirm that what we are going to have next week. But same time here, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Sorry, not in the US. 6 p.m. GMT. Yeah, 6 p.m. GMT. And for those of you in the US, it's 2 p.m. GMT. That's Eastern. It's 2 p.m. Eastern time. Yes. All right then. Catch you next week, and congratulations again to Jennifer. We are so proud of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.